Disgraced Theranos founder Elizabeth Holmes was sentenced to 135 months in prison for defrauding investors in her blood testing company.
Corporate scandals, they're the car crashes of capitalism, impossible to ignore and filled with lessons about what not to do. From shocking fraud to outright deception, these stories remind us that even the biggest companies can fall when ambition turns into greed. Today, we'll take you through 5 of the biggest corporate scandals in history. These are tales of arrogance, betrayal, and occasionally incompetence on a staggering scale. Buckle up, because we're diving into stories that shook industries, ruined lives, and left legacies of shame. Scandal 1, Enron, the collapse that changed corporate America. We begin with Enron, the company that practically invented corporate scandal. Enron started humbly in 1985 as a natural gas pipeline company in Houston, Texas. But by the 1990s, under the leadership of Ken Lay, it had transformed into an energy trading juggernaut. Enron wasn't just a utility company, it was a Wall Street darling hailed for its innovation. The man behind this transformation was Jeff Skilling, who joined Enron in 1990 and quickly rose to CEO by 2001. Skilling brought a revolutionary accounting method called mark-to-market accounting into Enron's toolkit. Here's how it worked. Let's say Enron signed a 10-year energy deal worth $100 million. Instead of recording revenue as it came in, Enron booked all $100 million up front, even if they hadn't earned a single dollar yet. This made Enron's financials look phenomenal. But there was a catch. Many of these deals weren't profitable and some were downright disastrous. To hide these mounting losses, CFO Andrew Fastow created hundreds of special purpose entities, essentially shell companies that bought Enron's bad investments. Enron's stock soared to $90 a share. Its valuation hit $70 billion. Everyone from Wall Street analysts to employees invested their savings into the company. But by 2001, cracks began to show. A whistleblower, Sharon Watkins, warned executives about the accounting irregularities. Then investigative journalists exposed the shell companies. Finally, in December 2001, Enron filed for bankruptcy, the largest in US history at the time. The fallout was catastrophic. Investors lost $74 billion. 20,000 employees lost their jobs and pensions. Skilling was sentenced to 24 years in prison, later reduced. Fastow served 6 years. Ken Lay died of a heart attack before sentencing. The Enron scandal didn't just destroy a company, it shattered trust in corporate America, leading to the passage of the Sarbanes-Oxley Act in 2002. This law imposed stricter financial reporting requirements to prevent similar scandals. But the lesson remains. No amount of financial wizardry can cover up a lack of real value. Scandal 2. Volkswagen, the diesel disaster that rocked the auto industry. Next up is Volkswagen, a company synonymous with German engineering excellence until 2015, when their spotless reputation went up in smoke. Volkswagen wanted to dominate the US diesel market. Their pitch? Cars that were powerful, fuel efficient, and eco-friendly. They called it clean diesel. But there was a problem. Their cars couldn't meet US emissions standards without compromising performance. So what did Volkswagen do? Innovate? Nah, they cheated. Volkswagen engineers installed a defeat device, software that detected when the car was undergoing emissions testing and made the engine run cleaner. But on the road, these cars emitted up to 40 times the legal limit of nitrogen oxides, a pollutant linked to respiratory issues and environmental harm. This wasn't just a rogue decision by a few employees. The scheme involved thousands of engineers, managers, and executives over nearly a decade. In 2014, researchers at West Virginia University tested Volkswagen's diesel vehicles and found massive discrepancies between lab results and real-world performance. The US Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, launched an investigation, and by 2015, the scandal broke. The fallout was massive. Volkswagen recalled 11 million cars globally. They paid over $30 billion in fines, penalties, and settlements. CEO Martin Winterkorn resigned and was later charged with fraud. The scandal didn't just hurt Volkswagen financially, it destroyed trust in the company. Once a beacon of German precision, Volkswagen became a global laughingstock. The irony? If they'd spent the same effort on building better technology instead of cheating, they might have avoided this mess entirely. 3. Theranos, the Silicon Valley mirage. Let's move to Theranos, the biotech startup that promised to revolutionize healthcare and ended up being one of the biggest scams in Silicon Valley history. In 2003, a 19-year-old Stanford dropout named Elizabeth Holmes founded Theranos. Her pitch was simple but groundbreaking. A device that could run hundreds of blood tests using just a drop of blood. Investors were mesmerized. By 2014, Theranos was valued at $9 billion and Holmes herself was worth $4.5 billion. She dressed like Steve Jobs, spoke like a visionary, and built a mystique that captivated the media. But there was one problem: the technology didn't work. Theranos' flagship device, the Edison, produced wildly inaccurate results. To hide this, the company secretly used traditional lab machines to run tests while pretending it was all done with their revolutionary device. In 2015, journalist John Carreyrou published an expose in the Wall Street Journal revealing the fraud. The fallout was swift. Theranos collapsed. Investors lost hundreds of millions. Patients were misdiagnosed, with some receiving life-threateningly incorrect results. In 2022, Holmes was convicted of fraud and sentenced to 11 years in prison. Theranos is a cautionary tale about the dangers of believing in a charismatic leader without scrutinizing their claims. As I like to say, it's not enough to build hype, you need to deliver results. Scandal 4. Facebook, the Cambridge Analytica debacle. Let's talk about Facebook, the social media giant that turned personal data into its biggest asset and liability. In 2018, it was revealed that a political consulting firm, Cambridge Analytica, had harvested data from 87 million Facebook users without their consent. Here's how it worked. Cambridge Analytica created a personality quiz app. Users who downloaded the app gave the company access not only to their data, but also to their friends' data. This treasure trove of information was used to create psychographic profiles for targeted political advertising. The scandal exploded when whistleblower Christopher Wiley went public, describing how Cambridge Analytica used the data to influence elections, including the 2016 US presidential race and Brexit. Facebook's CEO, Mark Zuckerberg, was summoned to testify before Congress, where he awkwardly tried to explain how his company had failed to protect user privacy. The consequences were massive. Facebook paid a $5 billion fine to the FTC. Their reputation took a major hit, with users questioning whether the platform could be trusted. The Cambridge Analytica scandal wasn't just about data, it was about trust. And once trust is broken, it's almost impossible to rebuild. Scandal 5, Wells Fargo, the fake account scandal. Finally, we have Wells Fargo, a bank that turned aggressive sales tactics into outright fraud. Between 2002 and 2016, Wells Fargo employees created 3.5 million fake accounts in customers' names. Why? To meet sales targets. Here's how it worked. Employees, under pressure from management, opened unauthorized accounts and credit cards. Customers were charged fees for accounts they didn't even know existed. The scandal came to light in 2016 when Wells Fargo was fined $185 million by federal regulators. CEO John Stumpf resigned in disgrace and over 5,000 employees were fired. But the damage wasn't just financial, it was reputational. Wells Fargo spent years trying to regain customer trust, paying billions in fines and settlements. The lesson? A toxic corporate culture can bring down even the most trusted institutions. So there you have it, 5 corporate scandals that shook the world. These aren't just cautionary tales, they're blueprints for what not to do in business. Whether it's Enron's creative accounting, Volkswagen's cheat devices, Theranos' fake tech, Facebook's data misuse, or Wells Fargo's fraudulent accounts, the common thread is clear. Greed and shortcuts might win in the short term, but they always cost you in the end. As always, stay curious, stay skeptical, and most importantly, stay ethical. What do you think? Which scandal shocked you the most? Let us know in the comments.